Welcome, friends, gamers, and other enthusiasts to the BoydofZINJ channel. I hope you enjoy your time here and the video. Please like, subscribe, do all the bell icons, and comment. It really does help small content creators like myself and others by doing so. If you click on the notifications, it may even let others and the YouTube gods know that they may enjoy these videos. With that being said, let's play. House Kurita, the Draconis Combine. In 3025, they were one of the five great houses. They populated the red area on top right of the inner sphere map, as shown here. So let's talk about the Draconis Combine or House Kurita faction. The Draconis Combine is one of the five successor states or of the inner sphere or houses of the inner sphere. Founded in 2319 by the empire builder House Kurita, the Combine has been ruled by as a hereditary dictatorship by the leader or coordinators of House Kurita. The leader of House Kurita is called the coordinator. Culturally, the prevailing mores of the Combine are based upon the imperial shogunate Japan of pre-spaceflight Terra, or Earth, with a pervasive class-style system in which nobility and modern samurai of the military/politics are the dominant force. House Kurita's role is also upheld by the Internal Security Police Force and Order of the Five Pillars, which is now an all-encompassing government bureaucracy. House Kurita as a faction was often seen as in the original Battletech lore as the bad guys. In many early versions of source materials from the Battletech lore, and these materials from Battletech included, of course, source materials, novels, video games, and stories. However, there is no real quote unquote bad guys in the Battletech universe. And eventually, there have been several source books, novels, video games, and newer stories which shine a light to the Draconis Combine and House Kurita. And some have even shown them as either the hero or the protagonist of the story or work of fiction. The primary colors of House Kurita of the Draconis Combine is red and black. Their primary theme is, of course, the dragon, as well as, more importantly, Imperial Shogunate Japan of pre-spaceflight Terra. In City Skylines, you have to remember, in this story of City Skylines, I'm not using any mods, any DLCs. I'm using the full PC version with all content DLCs, minus a few music and radio DLCs, since I'm not using music in my game. Regardless, in City Skylines, Korean buildings as well as Japanese-style buildings and vehicles will dominate the House Kurita skylines. The areas of what I consider House Kurita will have either Korean theme or will also be dominated by Japanese style buildings. However, the biggest mistake that most people make when thinking about House Kurita in both the Battletech universe and in City Skylines universe is thinking that House Kurita is only Japanese or have a Japanese only culture. This is not true. In the Battletech universe, while yes, that's the dominant theme, you know, the the worlds of the Draconis Combines were plentiful. They had one of the largest realms in all the inner sphere and had many different worlds, and most of these worlds were not of Japanese descent, were not of Japanese culture, and actually had their several different cultures from all over Terra. While the elite lords and politicians are normally Japanese in the Draconis Combine, the Cretans did capture several worlds and integrated several worlds within the Battletech universe, and of course the Inner Sphere. These integrated worlds had different cultures and people other than the classic Imperial Shogunate Japanese pre spaceflight Terra. Some of the best politicians, leaders, lords, and citizens within House Kurita, both historically in the Inner Sphere as well as here on Neo Terra, are not even of Japanese origin. Likewise, the favorite color of House Kurita is red and black, but oftentimes people have different favorite colors. So you'll often see buildings, uniforms, clothes other than red and black in House Kurita. Do not think of this faction or any faction in my game as being a homogeneous, a one size fits all type faction or society. It's of course going to have varied information. And this is true in the themes and the way how City Skylines plays too. There's no way to make it all encompassing, especially the way how I'm trying to design this city, right? Getting back to the Combine. When the refugees arrived on Neo Sol and landed and colonized Neo Terra, there was no means to manufacture gunpowder or weapons of war. The age of war ended. The age of war has ended. Since the newly arrived refugees had no means of making modern warfare, armed conflict has mostly been removed from all of society and all factions. While civil disobedience and disturbances can and does happen, these are simply civilians protesting and the occasional riots, which is all civilian based. There is no known conflict, warfare conflict on Neoterra. While Comstar is the primary force of law enforcement within Neoterra, House Kurita does employ a small law enforcement of their own. They are one of the few factions that has their own law enforcement other than Comstar and their Comguards. Comstar, with their Comguard police force, will always have top jurisdiction on any criminal event, even within the city of Boyton, and even within Kurita, House Kurita area. House Kurita does employ a small local police force that will maintain law and order within their area of influence. When arriving on Neoterra, the oceans and river did support xeno life forms. These xeno life forms were not compatible to humans, i.e., for whatever reason, humans could not digest them for nutrients. As a result, the refugees were forced to transport and create fish that could supply nutrients to the human colonists on Neoterra. It was the scientists and biologists within House Kurita that made this possible to transport Earth type fish into the Neoterra's oceans and waters. Likewise, most of the oceans or water area industry bore fruit in the House Kurita faction on Neoterra. As a result, House Kurita faction will tend to settle near water and will often lead the way in fishing and water industries. The largest fishing industry on Neoterra is the famed LFMC. L is in Lima, F is in Foxtrot, M is in Mike, C is in Charlie. LFMC is an acronym for the Luthean Fishery and Manufacturing Corporation. Mashido Ataman is the Senior Vice President of the Luthean Fishery and Manufacturing Corporation and the would-be leader of the vast majority of the Kurita fishing buildings here on Neoterra. This organization has taken Neoterra by storm. It has led the way in safely and efficiently fishing the oceans and lakes of Neoterra and introducing several effective methods of sustainable fishing to ensure future generations will have access to the proper types of fish on Neoterra that would supply nutrients to the human colonists. Currently, the House Kurita faction holds LFMC, or the Luthean Fishery and Manufacturing Corporation, in high regards, and the CEO has shown interest in the waters near Boyton. House Kurita is interested in creating a fishing industry at or near Boyton and has sent several Cretan delegates to Boyton to discuss how to proceed. The LFMC has pledged both House Kurita support and support of the company, and Mashido Araman himself has recently promoted a senior vice president to support this endeavor. However, to secure both the House Kurita faction and the LFMC, it will take more than just a few promises and some fishing buildings. The House Kurita workers and families will need their own specialized district, housing, and infrastructures within the city to move in properly and also to grow the House Kurita faction within Boyton. Comstar is also informs the mayor that the House Liao faction, which is a different faction than what we're talking about, but I'm going to mention it. House Liao faction is very interested in this area of Boyton as well and wants access to the farming and fishing areas near and around Boyton as well. Both back in the inner sphere and even on Neoterra, House Liao faction has been hit on hard times, but they have some of the hardest working farmers and fishers of Neoterra. Getting back to House Kurita, we'll talk about House Liao at a different time. Right now this is about House Kurita because House Kurita is moving in to Boyton. House Kurita has dominated the Draconis Combine since its founding in 2319. Its progenitor was Shido Kurita, the first coordinator or leader of the Draconis Combine. In 3025, the current leader or lord of House Kurita, the coordinator, was coordinator Takashi Kurita, whose heir was Theodore Kurita, who would succeed his father. Remember, this is in the prospect of 3025. We no longer know what happened, or these refugees no longer know what happened after 3025. The vast number of refugees that flocked to Terra did include a large number of Draconis Combine refugees as well, including a group of traveling Buddhist monks, one of which was a far distant heir and relative to the coordinator and held the Kurita blood name. This person would become the leader of the House Kurita faction here on Neoterra and the Draconis Combine faction here on Neoterra. The Kurita family here on Neoterra has grown. Remember, this is 2,000 years after the refugees have arrived. And the Kurita family is still governing and ruling over any refugees who honor the Draconis Combine heritage. Many refugees, when arriving on Neoterra, was shocked and appalled at the state of the planet and knew that times would be so tough that it may not even support human life. As a result, many refugees even considered seppuku, and I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, I do apologize. Seppuku is a form of ritual self death. However, the new refugee leader, the new neo coordinator of House Kurita, the Buddhist monk that shared the lineage of the original coordinator, forbade refugees to use seppuku, and on modern Neoterra, the practice has been largely abandoned as well. As a side note, the Draconis Combine in the Battletech universe, 3025 and before, seppuku was a very common practice, especially to those leaders who failed miserably. However, in City Skylines, in this alternate universe, not so much. Perhaps it, and occasionally, it will happen. So one or two of the leaders may eventually fall on hard time and may consider this practice. However, this is a real rare situation. The Buddhist monk Lord Krita was very hesitant to take up leadership of a large group of refugees. However, he noticed that despair and a growing crime rate within the refugees' ranks started happening. Luckily, this Buddhist monk was well educated, and even though he did not ever intend to become, a political leader, he was knowledgeable of politics and became what was now considered the neo coordinator or just coordinator of Neoterra, and was a natural born leader and led the people of the Draconis Combine faction to become one of the largest, most industrial, and most influential factions of Neoterra. The vast majority of fish that were seeded and planted on Neoterra came from biologists and scientists within the Draconis Combine faction. The current fishing and sustainable fishing techniques were all from House Kurita. Sushi and fish are now a staple food source for many people, both within and without of House Kurita on Neoterra. It is very common to eat sushi once the fishing industry started growing. It is said that nothing can be approved within the Draconis Combine faction without direct approval from either the coordinator or from the five pillars. The leader of the five pillars is the keeper of the House of Honor, Lady Jin Kurita, which is typically the firstborn daughter of the coordinator. It is also said that government officials has nightmare slow bureaucracy. The Draconis Combine bureaucracy is said to be the slowest of slow. When it comes to bureaucracy, nothing is done fast in the Combine. In fact, House Kurita has perhaps the slowest, if not the slowest, bureaucracy of all Neoterra. The Order of the Five Pillars has five branches or five orders. The Draconis Combine is said to be supported by these five pillars, each symbolizing an aspect of the Draconian society or the House Kurita faction. The pillar of the gold represents government. The pillar of steel represents military and law enforcement. The pillar of teak represents the people and culture. The pillar of ivory represents philosophy and religion. And the pillar of jade represents the economy and money. All five pillars work together to support the manifest destiny of House Kurita to conquest all of known space and to maintain House Kurita dominance on Neoterra. As a side note, just like in the Inner Sphere, while there is no warfare, the House Kurita faction is trying to grow and wants to be the dominant force even on Boyton. However, that may not always happen. There will be conflict because of that, perhaps. For anything to be done, on Neoterra for House Kurita, someone from the Order of the Five Pillar must approve the measure. However, the coordinator, Lord Kurita himself, can also override or make a declaration on any order as an emergency measure or act within the Draconis Combine. However, the coordinator to act on political matter, especially on a city matter, is a very rare event, and most coordinators are very religious and often come either from the pillar of teak or the pillar of ivory branch of the five pillars. Each coordinator tends to leave most government work to the five pillars and will leave the five pillars alone in political matters. As a result, what that means to the city of Boydton, my city, is there will be a five pillars branch opening up since we're going to be having a fishing industry and a house creative faction in the area. And on the city council meeting, someone from the five pillars will attend and will make measures. However, if something very drastic or important happens, the coordinator, which is not located in the city, is located in the capital of the planet, may voice his opinion of the matter, and anyone from House Kurita will honor his opinion. Important people within the Draconis Combine. The dragon. While not technically a person, this is the symbol of the Draconis Combine, and the people of Neoterra view any symbols or dragons as House Kurita. It is said that tattoos or art of the dragon can make any business profitable or work important. Various various dragon-like names have become important icons within Draconis Combines, such as Godzilla, Gamera, Kogan no Dorogan, and that's Japanese for dragon, and Rako Odontolus Sino ducks. These, and if I'm mispronouncing this, I do apologize. There are various sushi dish names that have dragon in them on Neoterra, and most tend to be spicy but expensive in the House Kurita eateries. The keeper of the House of Honor, which is in the Five Pillars, and the main leader of the Five Pillars is Lady Jin Kurita, who's the leader of the Five Pillars and daughter of the coordinator. While Lady Jin Kurita is the leader of the Five Pillars, she will rarely be seen in Boydton. Boydton is just one city, and she, is the leader of the Five Pillars for all of the House Kurita faction throughout the entire world of Neoterra. With that being said, another important person is Mashiro Arman, who's the senior president of the LFMC, or the Luthean Fishery Manufacturing Corporation of the Boynton office. There's also the Youngblood family. It's a famous entertainment and music family within the House Kurita. Most people love the music for the Youngblood family, and even people outside of House Kurita faction love the music and entertainment from the Youngblood family. And we'll be hearing concerts from them shortly, I have no doubt. While most organizations and the vast majority of the population with the Draconis Combine are loyal to House Kurita and the Draconis Combine, there is a small growing faction which is not as loyal. The Free Raus Rahag Alliance, or FRA. The FRA, or Free Raus, the Raus Rahag Alliance, is a minor faction which is officially not recognized by House Kurita. However, this faction has been growing, and many people outside of House Kurita recognize it as a faction. This is a play on the Free Raus Rahag Republic, which had yet to be formed. However, in the early days of the Succession War, there was a large group of people and planets known as the Free Hog who were allies of House Steiner and shared a very similar culture and heritage to the Lyran Commonwealth. And again, we'll be talking about the Lyrans and the House Kurita, I'm sorry, House Steiner later. This is primarily a House Kurita talk. Sadly, the Ralsrahog Republic was also shared borders with the Draconis Combine, and at the time, the aggressive dragon ate and absorbed most of the free Ralsrahog people and integrated them into the Draconis Combine. By 3025, the vast majority of the free Ralsrahog Republic citizens were loyal Combine citizens. In fact, most of them were so loyal that they started having tattoos of dragons. They shared colors. They were fully integrated. And this is at the 3025 era. Even though the FRA is a minor faction within the House Kurita faction, and the vast majority of their citizens are loyal Combine citizens for generations, because of the events of the Misjump and colonizing Neoterra, a few rebels who are a vocal and growing minority have been dreaming of a free, or at least a slightly free, Rahag alliance. As a result, they will be petitioning BoydofZINJ soon. Not necessarily that soon, but eventually we may see them as a district within the city of Boyton. The last major thing to discuss about House Kurita and the Draconis Combine faction is a new Comstar adept that recently migrated into Boyton. This is Adept Willow Smith. She is a well-educated person and is actually related to the Cretan coordinator, the faction leader of House Kurita, and part of Comstar. While she is related, she is the last in line and the last of her line, and is considered the last person able to theoretically inherit the throne of House Kurita. She is so low on the totem pole for being able to succeed the throne that several hundred people would need to be either killed or assassinated so she can ascend into the throne of House Kurita. It's almost a near impossible feat to even calculate how many people would actually need to die before she would be eligible to get to the throne. Regardless, she has and is a direct descendant of the original coordinator and shares the coordinator's direct bloodline. Because of this, House Kurita citizens view her as royalty. This lowly Comstar adept is a royalty within House Kurita. She's not the highest of royals, but she's still royalty. Everything of the coordinator is sacred to House Kurita. Remember, House Kurita is about tradition, and there's nothing more tradition than the coordinator. And the current coordinator was a direct lineage of the actual coordinator that ruled House Kurita. So this person, in theory, the Buddhist monk of about 2,000 years ago, could have, in theory, inherited the throne on Luthien if several hundred people died. But regardless, this person had the lineage and the bloodline. As a result, the people of House Kurita faction on Neoterra view the coordinator as well as this Willow Smith as royalty. She has tossed all the prestige and royalty to become a lowly adept in Comstar. And we're talking about Willow Smith. Miss Willow Smith became an adept in Comstar and is glad to have her uh, new title of adept. She's recently recruited into Comstar and has recently moved into Boyton. In fact, the last video, if you remember, I did point her out. If you remember, please leave in comments. Okay, this ends my Draconis Combine talks. And yes, I know this, half of it's made up because we're talking about the Draconis Combine as seen through people who left the inner sphere 2,000 years ago. That's 20 to 25 generations ago, and moved onto an imaginary planet so we could play City Skylines too. Or I'm sorry, the original City Skylines. Now, City Skylines 2, I plan on making something very similar. In fact, I may even try modding a few buildings to have some of these faction logos. Wouldn't it be nice to have some buildings have like Kurita Dragon logos on it? Since we're talking about House Kurita, or if we were talking about Comstar, they have Comstar logos, or House Leal logos, or House Steiner, or House Davian, or wouldn't it even be nice to have the occasional battle mech walkabout? After all, hey, it's possible. I don't know if I have that much time to mod that into City Skylines 2, but that's a plan. And I'm starting off with this. I'll probably have two different cities, one unmodded and one modded. And I'll probably use the modded one after I play around with the unmodded version first. But regardless, let's talk back with the original City Skylines and House Kurita specifically. Remember, the events that happened here, everything that has happened for these refugees are in the eyes of refugees as of 3025 and before. Any events that happen after 3025, the refugees will have no knowledge of it. Likewise, these refugees are lowly citizens in every faction in every world they're from. As a result, they will have no knowledge of any type of top secret, highly classified data, politics, alliances, schemes, or anything else. So lots of stuff covered in the novels near 3025 would be unknown to these citizens and will not be part of the discussions. You'll notice I'm staying away from certain parts of the actual Battletech lore, the real Battletech lore, on purpose, because these citizens would not know most of that stuff, right? And of course, there's hearsay and talk and speculations, but that's all it is. And you have to imagine this is 20 to 25 generations removed. Imagine thinking back, what happened, even I'm from Texas, which is in the United States of America. People have trouble remembering what happened in the 50s or in the 20s. And we're right now it's 2023. And yes, what happened back in World War II, 100 years ago, and people already are forgetting. So just think about that. People are already forgetting what happened in World War One, World War II, which is, we're about 100 years, later, and people are forgetting. So imagine 2,000 years later. And this is how we're going to take this series. But again, we're using this lore, this faction, as a way to organically grow the City Skylines game. That way we can have some, presence and say, okay, if there's a House Kurita faction, this is what they would want, and this is how their area should look like. And we're going to try and model it as best we can using no mods, no cheats, no console commands, and just using the full, original PC version of City Skylines with all content DLC, minus just a few music and radio DLC that does not have any content on it. I hope you have a great day. If you have any questions, concerns, please leave a comment. I would love to hear from you, and thank you. I hope I didn't talk off your ear. I know this was just me just blabbing away. It's that time of the video where I'd say adios. Thank you for watching. And if you're hearing this, I really like to say thank you for staying at least this long or skipping to the end. I really appreciate it. Better yet, the YouTube gods seem to enjoy it. Please like, subscribe, click on the bell icon to notification alerts. It really does help content creators like myself. I need the help. If you have any suggestions about my YouTube content or my channel or about this video, I'd love to hear it. Please leave a comment. Regardless, I'd like to thank you for watching. Stay safe, be entertained, enjoy life, and until next time, adios, goodbye. Hope your RNG is better than mine. Thank you.
All hands, initiate shutdown sequence.